West, Lacey West, mate. You made it to the Carpool Series. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Trent.
Mate, Q1 2025, Burleigh Heads, your local area. You guys have come out of the gate swinging. Tell me more. Q1, what are you saying?
I'm seeing probably a little bit of inconsistencies in price. What I mean by that is different price ranges behaving very differently. In Burleigh, a house under 2 million is very strong. We've often spoken about we've got clients looking for 1.3, 1.4, 1.6, that sort of thing. That section of the market is incredibly strong. Not a lot of properties available in that price range. It tends to go pretty quick. That 2 to 3 million range is which we sell a lot of in that renovated or half renovated homes in Burleigh Waters and some Burleigh Heads.
Yeah. That
market's a little bit stickier, and what I mean by that is there's not as much probably depth in the buyers in that price range. Probably a lot better value than, say, a buyer's looking for something for 1.9. If you go up to 2.2, there is a vast difference in quality, style, renovation.
Gotcha.
In those price categories.
I was at your auction the other day, 82 Jabiru, nice property. What'd that go for?
2.36.
236.
Yep.
Tell me more about that one, because I thought that was a nice renovator, a great price. It's also waterfront as well, isn't it?
The waterfront market, there's always a buyer for a waterfront. I would say there is more buyers for something that's already renovated at the moment, just because the cost of renovating, the difficulty in finding a builder is challenging at the moment. And you do hear a lot of stories about people doing a renovation being quoted one price and spending a lot more. But that one, there was a Sydney buyer and a local buyer that were competing for that one. It sold for a good price, but I still think there's some in it for the buyer as well. There's 800 square metres on the water, still close to James Street and the beach. Don't think you can go too wrong long term with a property like that.
And speaking of Sydney buyers, other than my clients that are coming up from Sydney, and there's a bunch of them, are you seeing more, like, I guess, Sydney, Melbourne money? Oopsie, shit, you crashed. Sydney, Melbourne money coming up?
We've always had history on the coast and Burleigh in general of interstate buyers. Sydney, Melbourne. We've had, during COVID, we saw a large influx of buyers from Melbourne come up to Burleigh. A lot of them bought units on the beachfront, trying to escape Victoria. We do deal a lot with Brisbane buyers as well, moving down to the coast or buying a holiday home down here. They like the lifestyle compared to surfing at South Bank.
Yeah, cracking beach. It's funny though, like I was in Sydney for 7 years, right? What I noticed as soon as I got back to the Gold Coast, and this might be a bit of a funny one for everyone, how cheap it actually is. Because what you can get for 1.4 in Sydney, which is like 2-bed, 1-bath apartment, maybe like Coogee or something, 80 square metres. What would you get for 1.4?
You get a house, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, Burleigh Waters, so it wouldn't be a walk to the beach, but it'd definitely be a bike ride to the beach.
Yeah.
And in a good street, maybe a 1990s build, something that you can move straight into. The closer you get to the beach, obviously, the more expensive it's going to be. But like you said, a lot cheaper than, say, what you would buy something in Mossburn or Bondi, Tamarama.
What would you do for one to one first time buyer, just want to get an apartment as close to the beach as possible?
You could buy something in, say, like a newer building like Sandbar. We've got one that's offers over $1 million in there at the moment. 2-bed, 2-bath, partial ocean view. And that's Gold Coast Highway, but still beachside. Or we've got one that's just under $1 million in Koala Park, 2-bed, 2-bath in a small block with low body corporate. They're good for first home buyers or first time investors. There's not too many outgoings. Small number of owners in the block. Sometimes they've got development potential, sometimes they don't. Or you could get something in, say, 1 kilometre, 2 kilometres back from the beach in a little townhouse or a little duplex or something like that, that you've still got yard and some land if people want pets and that sort of thing.
Let's say I'm a buyer, I'm looking at engaging with you guys. What can the buyers do to get ready to purchase, like finance and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, like probably the biggest challenge we face is with buyers is that they're not quite clear on what they want. And sometimes that's because they don't know what they want until they've had a look through a bunch of properties. But sometimes they'll inquire and then they'll be like, you'll be like, what are you looking for? And they can't really answer you. So that's challenging for an agent, because you can't start showing them stuff for $1 million because you don't know if they've got $1 million, or you can't show them this property in this location because you don't know if they're looking there. A buyer probably needs to be a bit clear on what they're looking for. Is it a principal place of residence? What sort of budget they've got? How many bedrooms and bathrooms they need? Are they flexible on the budget if they see something they love? Do they want a pool? Do they not want a pool? What sort of body corporate they want to pay if it's a unit? Are there any non-negotiable? I don't want to be on a busy road, or I just want to be as close to James Street as possible. Like, all those things matter
Yep.
so that when you're sending them properties, that it's suitable, rather than you saying, hey, this property might suit you, and it doesn't because they haven't been clear with you. The other thing is trying to make sure they do their due diligence. Is there a big building going up next door? Why is the owner selling? Is there a special levy coming? Ask plenty of questions to the agent. Like, those inexperienced buyers tend not to ask questions because they feel like it might be a silly question, but when you're spending that amount of money, no question's a silly question. Best to be informed.
And mate, my favourite listing at the moment that you guys have got, I might have a run at it actually. Three Tern Drivers. Tell me more. So there's like a little granny flat that they rent out on the Airbnb market, and just the granny flat alone does about 40 grand for the year.
40 grand for a
and
year.
then let's just say you've got the main house as well. What would the main house rent out for?
Main house would probably get 1,300 a week plus the 40k on top.
About 100.
Yeah, it's pretty good return options there. People like that because it's walking distance to the beach, walking distance to town, on a bigger block than usual, just under 700 square metres, and that's in a quiet street too. People are trying to find quiet streets close to the action so that they can enjoy what Burleigh has to offer in terms of cafes, restaurants, nightclub precinct, all that sort of stuff, but also have a real private sort of home that's close to all that stuff as well.
And it probably brings your investors into play a little bit more because you've got that 40 grand, right, on top of your main house, which is very rare and super unusual. Like, normally you're just renting out a big house for 1,500 a week. Contact details. How do I get in contact with you if I'm a buyer, local seller? What's the GO?
0404 227 952. That's my number.
Hey, spread the word. Wes, thanks so much for joining the Carpool Series. I'll see you at Tern Drive on Saturday.
Sounds good. Thanks, Trev.
Thanks, mate. Laughing. Don't make me laugh. Don't give me the giggles, eh?